NFL, a sport based in America, however seen all across the world. We all know certain players to be insane football players, however sometimes players live completely different and dark lives outside of the sport. Therefore today we're going to take a deeper look into 10 wild crimes committed by NFL players. In number 10 we do indeed have Travis Henry, and he actually was done for his cocaine transactions. Travis was a pro NFL player for the Buffalo Bills that took a very strange career change. Around a year after quitting NFL, he was arrested for allegedly being a part of a cocaine trafficking organization. He pledged guilty in court and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. However, he was told if he would serve good behavior and attended 500 hours of drug treatment program, he could cut that down to 16 months. A truly crazy story and not something you would expect from an NFL star. However, he stated his reasons for drug trafficking was to get money to help pay child support for his 9 children to 9 different women, as well as feeding his marijuana addiction. Now moving on into our 9th space, we do in fact have Michael Vick, and he actually got done for a dog fighting scandal. In his back garden, he had over 70 dogs, many of which were found in an awful state and been beaten, which is just awful. All for his own pleasure in watching them fight. Vick was a current NFL player at the time, which took a huge toll on his career, losing millions of dollars, all his sponsorships, and had to face a total of 23 months in prison. Many would say that this sentence was not enough for such cruelty he inflicted on those poor animals. He tried returning to the NFL after, however nothing was the same and he did not last. Moving on, in our number 8th spot today we actually have Jovan Belcher, and this is a case for murder/suicide. At the age of 25, Belcher had his whole life ahead of him, with the start of his own family with girlfriend and newborn baby, and a career in the NFL playing for the Chiefs. However, things took a complete flip when one day they got into an argument and he actually shot his girlfriend in front of his very own mother. Once he shot her and obviously killed her, he then went straight to the Kansas City coaches who said please put the gun down, however he didn't, resulting in him taking his own life. A very sad end to the story, especially for someone with such potential at such a young age. Now moving on to our number 7th spot though, we do in fact have Rae Carruth. And this is actually a conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Now, after spending 3 seasons with the Panthers, Carruth really had his whole life set up for him, and an amazing one at that. However, things took an insane twist when his girlfriend was shot 3 times by one of his assistants. Carruth was even the one responsible for blocking off her car so she couldn't escape, allowing the assassin to shoot her. When she was shot, she was even pregnant with his son. Very sadly, she actually died after being in a coma 1 month after the shooting. The baby was magically born, however very sadly has permanent brain damage. And Carruth was then sentenced to 18 to 24 years in prison for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The killer got a sentence to at least 40 years and 3 months, however. Somewhat justice served. Moving on to our number 6th spot, we do actually have Darren Sharper. Now, Sharper has to be one of the most cruel and evil people on today's list, who done some really truly shocking things. He started off having a success in his career in the NFL, being in 5 Pro Bowl selections and even won the Super Bowl 44. Between 3 years, 2011 and 2014, multiple women actually reported to have been woken up after being drugged and sexually assaulted by Sharper though. It was never known how many women he assaulted, however in 2014 there was one day in which he raped 4 women, all within 24 hours. A truly disgusting man, and in 2016 he was finally given his prison sentence. However, finding out it was only 20 years for such a horrible repetitive crime over the years really is shocking. Now moving on to our 5th spot on today's list, we do in fact have Thomas Henderson for cocaine usage and sexual intercourse with teenagers. This Cowboys player had a lot going for him, winning his first Super Bowl and gaining mad success and money from this. However, this doesn't mean his life away from football was good. He lived a very broken life, and 2 years after he actually ended his NFL career, Henderson ended up getting arrested for smoking cocaine with 2 young females, who was later accused of apparently threatening one of them with a gun. He was said to have provided them with drugs in exchange for sexual intercourse. He was finally sentenced to 28 months in prison as well as a rehab treatment. Since this, he has stated how he has remained sober, which hopefully is true and remains that way. Now going in our number 4 spot, we do in fact have Robert Rozier, and his crime is multiple murders. Robert played primarily in the NFL for the Cardinals before moving to play for a short time in a Canadian Football League team. He then retired and 5 years later was seen to be a part of a somewhat cult called the Brotherhood, who ordered men to kill white people. He went on to confess in killing 7 people in total, however stated in court that it was because of the organization's orders as to why he killed those 7 innocent people. He somewhat got away with a much less prison sentence for stating this and giving away the fact that the Brotherhood organization ordered the murders. However, he was sentenced to 22 years in prison, however only actually served 10 of those years before getting released. That's just over 1 year in prison per murder. Not nearly enough of a sentence to what was deserved in most people's eyes. Now we're coming into our top 3, and our 3rd spot is indeed Wright for robbery and kidnapping. He played in a total of 5 different NFL teams throughout his career, and was never really known for any in particular extraordinary play or performance in any team at that. 5 years after his last NFL game took place, he was actually arrested for allegedly committing sexual assault as well as many other charges. He was then found and convicted of 19 criminal courts, including robberies, burglary and kidnapping. He got a sentence of 234 years in prison. A very long sentence indeed, and the most anyone got on today's list. Now going into our running up spot today, and it's actually a pretty popular case. It is indeed Aaron Hernandez, and it is indeed for multiple murder cases. This New England's Patriot star really has some story, described to most people around him as a 14. During a very long investigation, it was also found out that he had a drug addiction, committing other crimes as well as found guilty on another murder case, this time it being a double murder. And then finally going into our number 1 spot, we do in fact have the well-known case of O.J. Simpson. And this is for alleged murder, domestic violence and armed robbery. One of the most known cases on today's list. His story all started when his ex-wife and her best friend were murdered. However, due to a compromised investigation done by the LAPD, no evidence was made to prove that he was actually the murderer. However, prior to this murder case, years before, he was actually found guilty of brutally assaulting Nicole Simpson, as well as threatening to kill her. He was also charged alongside 10 other men with a hotel robbery, holding people kidnapped at gunpoint. He stated he was only trying to claim back things that were already his, but rightfully so, finally got sentenced to serve 33 years in prison for all the crimes he committed. So there you guys have it, the top 10 craziest crimes committed by the NFL players. There are obviously some players that I have left out on today's list, but feel free to state them down in the comment section. So many of these crimes are truly shocking and really unexpected. But anyway guys, that is indeed going to be it for the video today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, and finally guys, have a good rest of your day.